Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. Now when I say God's way is always better than our way, honey, that's what I mean. Y'all, I just saw the whole Tabitha Brown podcast with her husband Chance on their YouTube channel, right? And I want to go back to the most played section of that video.
For me would have been, I'm more tempted to leave because I know I can survive on my own. There were times that we stayed together because we couldn't survive without each other. It was like, dang, I can't afford to leave. Throughout that time, we just fell back in love. We loved each other. But being in love is completely different. There was times that you wouldn't even know we was married. Listen, you couldn't even afford to be tempted.
So the most played part of the video is where Tabitha and Chance said if they would have had money and fame in their early to mid 20s, had this happened to them, they would have had a divorce. Which means, honey, in 2024, there would be no Chance and no Tabitha Brown. And the reason for the divorce would have been because there were times in their marriage where they just didn't like each other. Now, to the world, okay, that seems real foolish because why would you stay with someone you don't like? Honey, why would you even play yourself like that? Y'all know this how the young people be talking. But to the ones who are Bible-based in their marriage, we know that we have to have faith like a mustard seed to make it, okay? And have faith to see our way through because God does not like divorce. Or in Tabitha's case, she said that they couldn't afford to live without each other, literally. So they had to make it work. And it just makes me think, you know, fast forward to today, that God works in mysterious ways, as the elders say, because look at her life now. But first of all, this topic blew me away because they were talking about temptation, but in the midst of talking about that, it shifted them. It led them down this path about money and fame as young adult. Honey, as a young adult, a lot of us are not responsible with our money, with our finances, and with other responsibilities that we have. A lot of the times, young people have kids, and that grows them up. But do you know how many people are going through this in real life, like right now as we speak, when you talk about the fame and the money, and they're not young adults? Not only that, if I had to put a certain percentage on people admitting that they walked away from their marriage, and this was the reason why, because they had enough money to live on their own by themselves, I'm sure that percentage will be pretty high. Y'all, this is really the part about marriage that no one really talks about, that I stayed, but I wanted to leave at the same time. This is a hot topic on social media because everybody wants to chime in. But let me just put this disclaimer out there. If you or someone you know is currently going through anything like this, just know, okay, I'm gonna be honest with you, this is not your season to talk about this topic. This is a tough topic, y'all. And so just jump back in when you have overcome this thing. Thank goodness Tabitha and her husband Chance have been delivered from it for the most part. I think they still have the moments kind of based on the podcast, but y'all go watch the podcast and make that assumption yourself. So Tabitha Brown says to her husband Chance, if fame and money would have been in their marriage early on, then we wouldn't be sitting at this table making this podcast. She says, my son may have not been born, and I don't think we would have made it in our early to mid 20s. And you have to understand that having fame and money, that's not bad. It's not bad to have money as a resource, and it's not bad to have a lot of money, okay? It starts becoming bad when you make bad decisions and money is influenced behind the bad decisions. You shouldn't be leaning on the money to get you through. You need to be leaning on God to get you through. Now, I do believe that we were equipped to fight battles like this because there is a very present enemy, and he hates godly marriages. I'm gonna echo that in the back. But the problem is nobody ever told you that you were already strapped up for a thing such as this. Social media has blinded us by saying this is what marriage is supposed to look like, that this is marriage goals. So a lot of people are posting a fantasy and not their reality. And for those who are not posting on social media at all, some of them are in a bad situation too, honey. Don't let them fool you. Honey, they faking and shaking it for their friends and family. But I love it when Tabitha Brown's husband, Chance, chimed in and said, I don't feel no type of way about what Tabitha is saying because I can agree with it. Honey, that's a man's man, because only a secure man can say something like that, especially on their very public platform. So kudos to him for saying something like that. But he continues to say that Tabitha took the words right out of my mouth. Experience and living is where you can get to a point to have a conversation about temptation with your wife in an open environment. And I'm being realistic about that. Change is necessary, and I have lived and experienced it because change is going to happen no matter what, he says. Being tempted it comes with the territory, but change is a part of that too. So, you know, I completely understand that, and I hope y'all did too. If not, let's talk about it in the comments. But when it comes to Tabitha, honey, this is the part that I want to talk about, because she completely disagrees with her husband about the subject on temptation. So Tabitha says that it would not have been temptation when I was 23 or 24, but if success would have come early, the temptation would have been I'm more tempted to leave because I know I can survive. I know I can do this thing on my own. There were times we stayed together because we could not survive without each other. It was love. It was like, dang, I cannot afford to leave right now. We gonna have to work this out. We stuck it out, but throughout that time, we just fell back in love, she says, which is kind of crazy to think about it. But there were also times, she said, that we just absolutely was not in love with one another. We loved each other, but being in love is completely different. There were times we didn't even like each other, and times you wouldn't even know we were married, but we were just walking by each other. But we could not afford to leave each other. We couldn't even afford to be tempted. And her husband Chance chimes in and says that we have less of those moments now. So I told y'all they still have the moments in their marriage. But he says, what I know now at 45 that I did not know at 25 is how to eliminate the possibility of temptation coming in during those moments. And life teaches you that. It's about how you set yourself up. If you are exploring the places where temptation can present itself, while understanding marriage is those ups and downs and seasons where we are not on the same accord and we're still going to locations where temptation is right there to fulfill something, then you're setting yourself up for failure. So, honey, before I wrap up this video, from a woman's perspective, I completely understand where Tabitha is going when making that statement. Leaving her husband in her early to mid 20s had nothing to do with temptation, but it had everything to do with not liking and loving her husband at that moment in her life. Didn't mean she didn't have love for him, but she was not in love with him. Honey, I just want to pose this question. What do you think is making some women stay in their marriage where the thrill may be gone? Now, on TikTok, one person stated, I think even during the lows, the fact that they didn't date other people like a lot of married separated people do is a testament to their love of one another. Someone else wrote, I wish more married people were transparent so more single folks would actually be prepared as they enter in a covenant with their significant other instead of keeping things hush hush. And marriage is not for the weak, keeping it 100. Someone else wrote, I can't afford to leave. I don't know if I could have said that. Shaking my head. I don't think a lot of people could have said that. Someone else wrote, I don't need you to survive, but I need to be with you to survive. I feel that. And lastly, someone said, this is the most honest rendition of marriage. I was married for 27 years and she is 100% correct. People need to hear this. Thanks, Tabitha. So I don't really have a question for the end of this video, y'all, but more of a general statement. I think people have to do what works for them in their marriage. There is no secret to a successful marriage. Marriage is work though. A lot of people don't put in the work, or they put in just enough work to be able to skate on by. Whatever you have learned to help you work on your marriage, what I have learned is you have to forget most of that and start right back at the drawing board again, because life will keep life and life will keep happening. And the same grace you needed earlier this year in 2024, the grace may be different in September of 2024. So y'all, those are my thoughts. Leave yours in the comment section of this video. As always, thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it, and I will talk to you guys in the next video.